So here's the deal. My name's Mark. We met a couple weeks back. I was helping with the panel and whatnot. And this is your last session together. Am I right? Okay, cool. So I thought that a discussion about the science of happiness, which is one of my areas of study, something that I've been very into for about 10 years now. I teach in the education department. I teach the undergraduate health and well-being class, Education 191W. Anybody here taking my class? Only one? Two? Okay, cool. So they'll tell you it's the greatest class on campus, pretty much. They're laughing and avoiding eye contact. Anyways, so I teach that class. I've been interested in the science of well-being and happiness for a very, very long time. I'll give you more as to why I'm interested in that stuff as we go on. But I thought it would be fun to get personal with this. This is one of those topics that it will get personal. It will get awkward. It will get weird. And one of my philosophies on life is if you're not feeling awkward or uncomfortable or weird, you're probably not learning. But if you are feeling awkward, uncomfortable, and weird, you're probably on the verge of learning something new. And to me, that's good. So what I'd like to do is start with our comfort zone and then get awkward and weird as it goes on. So comfort zone, science of happiness is the discussion for today. I'd like you to turn to the person next to you. Oh, that's awkward. Hi, nice to meet you. Isn't this awkward? And share an adage, share a mantra, share a philosophy, share a message you were given up to this point from people you care about how to be happy. So I'll use my father. My father always says, what does he always say? He says, "It is what it is." My grandmother, very inspirational character in my life. She was an 8th grade teacher down in Long Beach. Anybody from Long Beach? I'm curious. Oh. She was like one of those people where you go to the grocery store and everybody remembers her and gets all excited to see her. She was one of those. And she used to say, it's not what happens to you in life that matters, but how you respond. And that was like a powerful mantra that kind of stuck with me. So it doesn't need to be a mantra that's perfect like that. Maybe just like a thing that was put onto you that helps you define happiness according to values of folks in your life. So talk to the folks next to you. Share what that is. Hi, nice to meet you. Isn't this awkward? This is so awkward. Yes, please talk to each other. No texting involved. Talk to each other. Jump in. Groups of 3 are cool. If you haven't switched, please switch. All right, ladies and gents. The reason I like to start with an activity like this is because adult learners are drastically different than child learners. Adult learning is usually about where am I currently and how can I challenge my current held beliefs. And usually in that challenging of my own beliefs, that humility process, we tend to take in more information because we're filled with stuff. Versus little kids, it's like start here, build it here, build it here, build it here, build it here. It's a very different type of process when you're talking about adult learning. So tell me, what are some of the wisdom, if you will, that's been passed down to you about happiness? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to say anything is right or wrong. I'm just going to see if any of it has some research basis to kind of prep you for where we're going. We're going to tell you about what the research suggests around happiness. And I have a feeling these adages, these wisdoms, these mantras, these messages generally do have research that backs them up. So somebody be brave, break the ice. Please. Thank you.
My mom, she always tells me
everything happens for a reason. Yeah, I can't think of any research for that one. Sorry. Good stuff. But who's heard that one before? Good stuff. Yeah, I've heard that one a bunch too. The idea that this was intentional as opposed to unintentional gives us a sense of comfort. Yeah, I can relate to that. Anybody else? Yeah. Oh, what goes around comes around. Who's heard this one? This is good. I love it. I love it. That one's kind of a karmic one, right? Like, be a jerk, you'll get some jerk. Right? Yeah. Try to see the best in people. Who's heard that one? Yeah, I think the word try there is the key component because that is hard. One of the things I want to talk with you about today when we talk about the basics of this science is our fight or flight response. We get really excited over what's wrong with people, but when something's right with people and we try to see that, we have to actually try. We don't have to try to see the worst. Like, oh, yeah, I got issues. But to say, I got issues, that's hard. Think about Michael Jackson song. Anyway. Yeah.
Something one of my friends said is don't let numbers and statistics define your worth.
Don't let numbers and statistics define your worth. Don't be a statistic. I've heard that one before. Anybody else heard that one? Good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. I have to tell you, I'm going to present some stats here today that are kind of depressing, and that's kind of against everything about happiness, right? It's kind of like, wait, why would you do that? Well, because the science suggests that our brain doesn't get really going in a movement, a behavior-focused way when it comes to our happiness stuff. It kind of says, oh, this is good, stay there. Don't move. Continue. And that's not really exciting at all. It's weird to say, right? Happiness is not exciting. Anybody else? Life is too short to be sad or upset. Who's heard that one? Okay. I don't have anything research-based to say about it, but it just makes me think of that movie Inside Out. Who here has seen that movie? Good movie. Just thinking about, well, we need sadness and we need anger, part of being alive. They're primary emotions. I know there's a bunch of research on that. Okay, let's get started. Thank you. I appreciate that. That is your starting point for today. That is your starting point. We're going to do a couple of activities here. I don't know how far I'll get in this. I'll share the slides with Dr. Romo to share with all of you. But my goal is that I challenge your definitions of happiness here today. And now you've defined where that starting point is. You've at least got a starting point, some terminology, some mantra, some idea of something that for you is your messages around happiness. Who here has had a really deep conversation with somebody they care about happiness and how to be happier? Pretty normal. About half the room raised their hand there. That's very interesting. Who here has had a really deep, meaningful conversation with somebody they care about how to get over something sad? Usually what happens, about 75-80% start to raise their hand there. We have really, really, really strong rituals, cultural mechanisms, if you will, for discussing things we all can relate to are hard. But when it comes to this idea of how to be happy and how to be happier, it gets a little subjective. It gets a little weird. It gets possibly a little awkward. So that's where we're going. I'm going to make you touch yourselves at everything later. Trust me, it's coming. So, where I always like to start is this slide right here. In the U.S., normally a sign that looks like this has what word in it? Yield. And when you see or hear the word yield, what does it make you think and feel? Okay, stop. Let somebody else go. Cautious. Yeah, have caution. I always think about like what would be my pose. I'd be like, right? It's like a caution thing. If you've ever been to another country, who here has ever been to another country where you've seen give way signs? Anybody? Yeah, the example I'm thinking of here is there are several Caribbean islands that use this. They don't have intersections. They have a lot of roundabouts, and it's something Americans are struggling with. We're learning about like the one here on campus. We're learning about roundabouts. Like, what's going on? Anyways, the first time I ever went to an island where I saw give way, I couldn't help but think of it, first of all, in almost like a Jamaican accent, like, give way, man. You know, there's something about it. But when you see the words give way, what does it make you think and feel? First impressions? Slow down? What was that? Okay. What was that? Courteous. Be courteous. Okay, what else? Yeah, let others. So we heard that one before, but be courteous is certainly a lot different than caution. And I think the message here is like focus versus hey, focus. There is no profound statement about these signs except to say that there are signposts throughout our everyday life. Okay, this is an abstract thought. Join me in an abstract thought for just a minute. There are signposts throughout our everyday life where we can approach them with the caution of healed, or we could just as easily approach them with the courteousness of give way. want to encourage you today to think about happiness with more of this giveaway. I want you to challenge your own thoughts. When you are in a stressful situation, are you the type to get yieldy, or are you the type to look to others and let them give way? And I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong here. They're both appropriate for different times. I just want us to point out the power of these types of signposts on our mindset on a regular basis. All right, let's keep rolling. My goals for today, I want to talk about our mind and body and how they're connected. We're going to actually do a lab experiment in here. I'll talk a little bit about learning and motivation, and if we have time, I want to get to optimal states. So when your brain is functioning at its most optimal state. We will probably talk about orgasm. Anyways, that was supposed to be fun. Anyways, I want you to know that I am not a healthcare professional. I'm married to one, but I am not one. Most people go to see healthcare professionals when? When you're sick, yeah, for real. I would argue that's a sick care professional. Is that illogical? So the majority of healthcare professionals are here, looking there. How do I prevent you from getting sick? How do I help you when you are sick? I am a health promotion researcher and practitioner. I am interested from this middle point of not sick. I'm not defining health here. I'm defining health as the things we do on a daily basis to grow, thrive, flourish. This is a drastically different science, with drastically different messages, drastically different methods of getting there, and that's some of the intervention I want to talk about here today. I'm not interested in this stuff over here. I'll be blunt. I'm not like, oh, diabetes, let's dive in. That's not me. I'm more like happiness, that's weird. I'm more like pleasure, that's weird. I'm more like learning, growth, that's weird. That's where this stuff lies. And I would argue this is actual healthcare. I would argue that healthcare professionals are usually not in medical settings. Sometimes they are. Some of the great ones do both. Okay, I'm going to do that. You should know that today I'll be citing a bunch of stuff from a field known as positive psychology. Who here has taken the class on campus, positive psych? Oh, you should. It's taught by several researchers over in our psychological and brain sciences department that are world class. Shelley Gable comes to mind. Jonathan Schooler comes to mind. These folks are literally world-renowned happiness researchers right here at UCSB. Pretty exciting stuff. Mike Furlong would be another example. Collie Connolly. These are great professors right here at UCSB who are writing the current record of what the science is on happiness. Pretty cool stuff. I want you to know that this is not your normal type of psych discussion. I'm actually not a psychologist by training. I'm a sociologist. I'm a public health strategist. I'm a college health educator, and I'm a college health professional. That means that I have a dual role both as a strategist on campus, but I also teach. So I'm this weird kind of in between. And I have to tell you that the majority of this research is the minority of the psych field. So who here has ever taken a psych class? What were they about? I'm curious. Throw them out. What was that? The brain. Okay, what else? Development. Cool. What else? Social behavior. Cool. What else? Abnormal behavior. Oh, that was my favorite. I took abnormal, and I'd walk out of that class every day feeling like I had some sort of issue. Have y'all ever had that? Okay, yeah. So what I'm getting at is we're still, even with those larger areas of psychology, positive psych is probably one of the newest and smallest, and I would argue most exciting areas of research going on right now. And there's this cool overlap between all types of blood testing, cortisol testing, social science testing, interview testing, focus group observation type testing. There's a lot of different methods being thrown at this cool idea of what does it mean to be happy, what does it mean to thrive in the world, and how is that a different science? So that's where we're going. Okay, let's just get to our first activity already. I'd like everybody to please stand. Oh, baby her. What a jerk. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. This is a little game I like to call Touch Myself. Fair warning, I have been teaching comprehensive human sexuality at the college level for well over 10 years now, so we'll keep this professional. I want you to, that was supposed to make everybody feel awkward and uncomfortable. Did it do it? Did that do it? Okay, cool. I'm going to ask you to touch a part of your body in just a minute where you manifest these feelings. And what I want you to do is I'm going to just hold this part of your body. This is a sports psychology exercise. But the next question, fair warning, so this one's the easy one. The next question gets weird. The next question gets uncomfortable. So fair warning now, let it sink in now. This is going to get weird. And I want to also point out that this one, generally people 5 to 6 seconds. But the next one could be upwards of 50 to 60 seconds. And so there's going to be this moment of, I feel it's good to prepare for it. So, please, point to the part of your body in which you manifest stress. When you feel stress here, where do you feel it in your body? Point and hold that part of your body, please. 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll start here. You're pointing to your stomach. Why? Point to something. Where do you manifest stress? Okay, we'll come back. Point to something. What are you pointing to? What do you feel? What do you feel in your neck when you feel stressed? Okay, who gets tension in their neck when they're stressed? Okay, cool. Pretty relatable stuff. Coming across. What are you pointing to? What do you feel? What do you feel in your shoulder? Who gets like soreness in their shoulders when they're feeling stressed? Pretty relatable stuff. Coming across. Okay, get more neck tension. Anybody neck tension? Okay, come around for something different. Next up too. What are you pointing to? What do you feel? Okay, what happens to your back when you feel stressed? Okay, cool. Who gets like the hunched over when they're stressed? Yeah, pretty relatable stuff. Coming around. What happens? Okay, when you feel like you need to pull them back. I love it. Somebody else, something different? Oh yeah, who gets the headaches or head pain when they're stressed? Pretty relatable stuff. Coming around. Somebody else, something different? That sounds painful. Okay, so like this uncontrollable fidgeting with one's hair. Yeah, I have that problem. I make fun of myself, you laugh. That's great. Anybody else, something different? Okay, shake it off. Shake it out. There you go. The next one gets weird. Here it is. It's coming. Please point to the part of your body in which you manifest joy. When you feel joy here, where do you feel it in your body? And are you getting where I'm coming? Why does my brain struggle? Why aren't I? It's been 5 seconds. Everybody had already touched themselves at this point. Take a minute. You deserve a minute. Think about it. But when you decide on some part of your body, please hold that part. We are all adults here, so if you want to point to your genital region, that's okay. Rubbing it completely not cool. Not cool. Public space. Not cool. If you're helping. Okay, let's start over here this time. What are you pointing to? What do you feel? What happens? What do you feel? Okay, good stuff. So, who smiles when they're feeling joy? Yeah, this is the only one that will be relatable around the entire room. Research suggests that the smile, the sides of your mouth go up, these muscles get all contracted, these muscles kind of not so much, these muscles even contract a little bit, and we instantly get high together. So everybody bust out a smile? Not a fake one, like somebody farted smile. Yeah, see, we all just got a little high together. You can go home and Facebook that, like right now, like teacher said I got high in class today. When we have a genuine smile, we push dopamine into our brain. Literally push a little bit. Do it again. This is one of those happiness tricks that the research currently suggests that if you fake it till you make it, it will improve your life. So you're having a day, you've got a facial expression that wearing whatever going on with that day, you go in somewhere private to do the fake smile thing, try it, it's super weird. And the research suggests that you'll feel better in a couple of minutes. You'll literally change the chemical makeup. Okay, back to touching yourselves. You just like that I get to say that. Please? Touch your pocket. Okay, come around. What are you pointing to? What do you feel? Either way? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. What about you? You're pointing to your pockets. What do you feel in your pocket? Okay, somebody else have something different. You're pointing to your... Okay, so a temperature change in your stomach and the kind of like it hurts so good. I love it. Can y'all relate to it hurts so good? Come around. Somebody else, something different, please? What are you pointing to? What do you feel? Please? What do you feel in your chest? What do you physically feel that manifests that joy? How does your chest feel? Like a lot of what? A good kind of pushing? Is that what you said? Pressure. Oh, okay, a good kind of pressure. Okay, cool. Current research would suggest that we actually breathe differently, so it makes sense that your chest would feel different, that there'd be a different type of pressure, that there'd be also a different type of heartbeat that goes on. So there's just cool research going on at the HeartMath Institute in Colorado. Check this stuff out. It's really cool. There's actually kind of a expected rhythm of your heartbeat when you're experiencing joy, kind of a kind of like a reggae beat feeling, versus when we're stressed, it's like. And in the same way, we breathe drastically different. Maybe you can relate to this. It's week 10. Do you notice your breathing is a little more shallow? When we're in stress, especially chronic stress, we breathe from the top half of our lungs. We literally use about 50% of the capacity of our lungs when we're experiencing stress here. Versus when we're experiencing joy, we engage our diaphragm, this big, beautiful muscle right here over all of our bellies. Yes, we all have bellies. Yes, they are beautiful and original and make us all sexy. Yeah. Practice with me for a second. One hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. And when you inhale, I want you to try to move only your belly hand. Okay, ready, set? Do a couple more. Third one, don't try so hard. Just let it happen. Y'all just got a little high again. Seriously, you're all pushing a little dopamine. When we breathe with all of our lungs, it's as if there is dopamine down at the bottom that we're pulling up into our brain. When we're experiencing joy, we literally breathe different, our heartbeat's different, and blood flows through our body differently, merely because of how we're feeling up here. Anybody else? Something different that you're experiencing in your body when you're experiencing joy? Please. What else are you feeling in your body when you experience joy? Yeah.
Just in general, I feel like when I'm
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so I'm hearing a couple things here. You feel lighter, literally like you're lighter, and then I'm also hearing this kind of spring. I love the spring thing. I hear this a lot. I do this exact same exercise with like little kids and with parents and old people and with college students, obviously. But you're saying it's kind of like happy feet, like you just can't help it. Like, who skips anymore, right? Like, we gotta bring skipping back. Skipping will make us feel more joy. Or maybe we'll feel joy and then skip. I don't know. Anybody else? Something different? Please? Who's willing to share? Okay, before we sit down, what do you get out of an exercise like this? Why would I ask you to touch yourself so awkwardly and weirdly? What are you getting out of this? In your own words, of course. This is like that big teacher question. Yeah, our brain struggles with this. That is a common human experience. We know the stress stuff right away, and it's relatable and almost universal. But the joy stuff takes some time, takes some effort. Research would suggest that these feelings are far more subtle as opposed to overt. Other thoughts? What do you get out of this? Please. Reactions. Usually people have thoughts and feelings about this. Yeah. Yeah, if you're more aware of where the so-called red flags are, you can do something about it. And I like that. You were saying more with your body than you were with your words. Like, I massage it. I know what to do. The joy thing's a little more awkward, a little more unclear, a little more like, huh? No one mentioned butterflies in your stomach. I usually hear that one as like a joy thing, like the butterflies. And butterflies are great. It's like the top of the roller coaster, Yeah. Like I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of frightened, but I'm also pretty excited. It's like first kiss. Anybody? Okay. All right. Have a seat. I want to point out that I did not ask you all to take any drugs. Okay. But yet you got high. I didn't ask you to go like run a lap around the building and come back and tell me how you feel. Like before I felt and now I felt. And I didn't ask you to do anything really physical at all. Actually, I didn't ask you to do a jumping jack and tell me how you feel after the jumping jack. Rather, I asked you to perceive feelings and thoughts in your head. And those perceptions produce drastically different things going on in our bodies. We literally went from pain and scrunching over postures to I feel light and happy feet, and I'm smiling. What I'm getting at here is I think you already know. I could present a whole bunch of evidence up here. I'm actually going to show a couple of slides like this, but I don't really need to show you that your brain affects your body. You already know. So lab experiment done, right? You know this stuff already. When you are in a particular mood, it affects your body. When your face is saying a particular thing, if you change it, it affects your brain. We know this stuff already. That's kind of a good starting point for it. There's a lot we can massage, but I think this is also a great opportunity to think, wow, why don't I pay more attention to when I am experiencing green flags as opposed to the red flags? When I am experiencing joy. Why was it so awkward for me to identify a spot on my body? This is joy we're talking about. I should know my joy. I don't know mine that well. Anyways, something I forgot to mention is that what led me to research in this area is that I'm somebody who considers myself very pessimistic and skeptical about most of life. And I come from a family with a history of depression and stuff, so I don't really think this stuff comes naturally. I genuinely think this stuff takes a whole bunch of work. And to me, that's literally where the research has gone and led me and keeps me interested to this day. Okay, so what I'm getting at here is what Seligman calls the catastrophic brain. We are all born with a brain that gets really excited. In fact, it lights up. If you look at these little images here, it lights up when we're experiencing negative emotions, but they don't really light up when we're experiencing positive. So what you're seeing on the top here are literally fMRI scans of the brain, electrical activity going on in the brain when people were induced with emotions. So they saw images. On the top, people were looking at images of fields of flowers and clouds and babies and puppies, and their brains don't really do anything. But when they're shown images of horror flicks, like slasher films, like thrillers, where there's blood and people are dying and there's monsters and things like that, their brains light up in a very big way. What I'm getting at here is we are hardwired with a really strong fight or flight response, but we do not have an equal stop and savor happiness response. We have a hardwired, almost instinctual shortcut in our brain. We perceive threat, we go into I'm going to fight this thing, let's do this, or I'm out. And the argument from evolutionary psychologists is that that's how we survived. And then all those people made sweet love, and here we all are. They made cautious love, apparently. But the people who were like, oh, look at the big kitty, look at those big teeth, it's a cute kitty. Yeah, those people died. That's the argument. Makes kind of sense to me. It's one argument. Take what you want. The idea is that they died. All right? And they didn't make sweet love and create all of us. They died. And the people who did had this really strong reaction, this really strong instinct, if you will, that when there is a threat, I must do something quick and now. And some interesting things happen. In fact, there's over 1,500 chemical changes in our body when we have the fight or flight response. Somebody cuts you off on the freeway, or the bike path, I should say here, right? Right? And your brain goes, and then it turns instantly to, nobody thinks that way. But if you see a beautiful sunset, you're not like, oh, I must pull over, look at the sunset. There's no instinctual, I gotta do that right now. That's weird, right? Where I grew up, there's a lot of talk about, keep it real. Have you all heard this? Keep it real? And generally when people say keep it real, what do they mean? Have you ever thought about that? What does keep it real mean? What are they referring to? What are you referring to when you use that? Nobody here talks like that? Is this a Long Beach thing? We say dungeon in Long Beach too. Do you all say dungeon? Okay, we'll talk about that. That's not So generally when people say keep it real, what are they referring to? Seriously, what are your thoughts? What's your perception of that? There's no right or wrong here. I'm just curious what you think. Be honest. Okay, cool. And what does being honest generally refer to? Yeah. Being authentic. Real is authentic and honest. Have you ever heard a person who is saying, oh, I really appreciate you, or oh, that's a beautiful sunset, and then somebody says, keep it real? Nobody? No, that's weird, right? But if somebody just laid it down and gave you some feedback, like, hey, that was not cool, generally it's referred to as keep it negative. We all can relate this idea of our fight or flight and keeping it negative. Am I way off here? Are you agreeing with me? Okay, I know this is my language, and it might not relate to everybody. Everybody doesn't talk like that. Okay, why you should care? You should care because emotions really do help us in a lot of ways, and we need all of our emotions. We need both the negative and the positive. Generally, scholars like all of you have really strong responses that help us discriminate, help us make things distinct. So multiple choice tests, for instance, our negative emotions actually help us with that. But when it comes to creativity, when it comes to group projects, when it comes to creating something, we need our positive emotions. And in fact, if you want to learn more information, our positive emotions help us the most. What I'm getting at here is the more positive, hey, let's go. Generally speaking, positive emotions will help you learn. Negative emotions, they do as well. But more importantly, they help us narrow in. They help us focus. They help us prioritize. Welcome. Okay. So a little bit of the background on the lab experiment we just did. This is literally about 18 studies put into one slide right here. What we see is that people who have a natural attributional style, or people who tend to, their reaction to bad stuff is, let's keep it real. That's how it should be. That's how life is. That pessimistic attributional style, they generally report these things in social science surveys. They're more helpless, more hopeless, they're more depressed, they're more anxious, they're more worried. That's me. In a whole bunch of physiological testing, we see that these folks experience all kinds of detrimental effects to their cardiovascular systems. You just proved this a minute ago when you were touching yourself. You just proved that you know your body acts different. You know your heart beats different, your lungs breathe different, your blood flow is different when you're experiencing stress. Almost every health issue in America right now is 1, preventable, and 2, related to stress in some way, especially chronic stress. So if ever there was a lesson of college, learn how to deal with your stress. Learn how to recognize when you have your fight or flight response and then do something about it. I can't help but think about you and stop. The other thing to note is that this heightened stress response, it's normal. We have it. But the general consensus is that we're overusing it in our modern world. So I'm going to get philosophical on you here for just a minute. How many people in the last 30 days have truly been in a life or death situation where your fight or flight response literally saved your life? About 2 weeks? The last 2 weeks, you've been in a life or death, like, I almost died, thank goodness I slammed on the brakes, or I almost died, thank goodness I ran away really fast. Last week? The last couple of days? How about the last year? Okay, a couple of you. All right, okay, let's do that. The argument is we are overusing our fight or flight response. What are some things you find yourself stressing out about in your current world? Finals, thank you. What else? Money, for sure, every day. I'm an educator. What else? Friends? Yeah, for real, money, for sure. What else? Family, yeah, thank you. Jobs, for sure. What else? Classes for next year. Yeah. Relationships, thank you. I'd argue that pretty much covers them all, right? The argument is we're using a response that's designed for survival, for things like our relationships now, for things like money and rent and things of that sort, and tests. When in reality, these things aren't necessarily life or death, am I right? They're not necessarily, I will die if I do not get that class. But yet our brain and our body, as you all just exhibited, react as if. And the more aware of it we are, the more efforts we take to do something about it, to calm our breathing down, to massage ourselves a little bit, to think about where are my green flags, should I need my green flags, the more likely we are to not experience some of this stuff. Now, flipping the script a little bit, the exact opposite stuff happens on the other side. What we see is that people who have an optimistic attributional style, in other words, something bad happens to them and they're like, yeah, That's bad. Oh my goodness, I'm experiencing emotions right now. This is serious business. But there's something I can do about it. What is the thing I could do about it? What do I have control over? They at least make that effort. That's optimism, if you will. They tend to report these things in social sciences surveys, that they're more satisfied, they have more purpose, there's forgiveness. You can see where I'm going with this. Here's where it gets interesting. These people tend to have better health habits. These people tend to live longer. So in just a minute here, you all describe your bodies feeling drastically different things because of what's going on up here. Well, it plays out over a lifetime. If we make efforts to see the other side, if we make efforts to see all of the possibilities, and we don't just believe, and we aren't just certain that this is the way that it is, we are more likely to live long and be healthy. It's a weird connection that I think we all are like, oh, gosh, that makes sense. So let's get social about it. With the folks around you, I'd like you to think about the person in your life who is the most pissed off. The person in your life who is the most downer. Can I get a nod when you got somebody in your mind? The person you're like, oh gosh. Every time they think of the worst. Yeah? Got somebody in your mind? With the folks around you, hi, nice to meet you, isn't this awkward? I want you to tell me about some of their daily behaviors. What are the things they do on like a daily basis? Like right now, they're probably doing blank. Like what are they doing? Are they riding a bike or are they walking? Are they sitting on a couch or are they walking? See where I'm going with that? Tell me about their behaviors. Take a minute. People around you. 3 or 4 is good. Hi, nice to meet you. Isn't this awkward? This is so awkward. Nice to meet you. So you all want me to end in 5 minutes, is that right? 4:20? So weird. No, that's weird. I don't know about that. Okay, tell me about some of these wonderful people and what they're doing with their lives. These are who I want to be like, right? No, seriously, what are they doing? Tell me about what they're doing right now, probably. No, the bummer people. Yeah, we'll get there. What about the bummer people? Yeah.
So, actually me.
You did not have to be that vulnerable, but rock on.
Solely, mainly because I'm not actively always pessimistic, but like I am very involved in social justice. So a lot of the stuff I research, it does happen in my life, and it's something that I cannot just turn a blind eye and say, oh, let's detach myself from the situation. So like when I just have discussions with my friends, they actively question everything that I research and basically all the forms of oppression that I learn and that I experience, and they make me question like, oh, that's not really true. And then I just give them the phrase, be real with me, you're also from the same background, like, you know the truth. Like, come on.
Okay. So I'm hearing you say that you're generally researching and studying the stuff that bums you out the most. I understand that. But I'm hearing that the behaviors are you're constantly having to remind people of what life is really like with said oppression. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Good stuff. What else are these bummer people doing? By the way, I wouldn't describe that as pessimistic, but we'll chat later. Because if you're working on social justice stuff, there's a whole bunch of hope involved there. If you're studying this stuff, trying to understand it, there's a whole bunch of optimism going on there. But we'll chat later. Other folks, tell me about the people in your lives. These bummer people, what are they doing? They're laying down. I love it. Yeah. They're laying down getting wasted. What else? Watching Netflix. Wait, aren't these people a bummer? Okay, let's flip the script. Shake that one off. Now I want you to think about the happiest people in your life. The people who are weird happy. Where you're like, what's wrong with you? Where you're surprised that they think, you're like, seriously? Really? I'm guessing some of your friends are like, really? Can I get a nod or you got somebody in your head? This is strange. Why do they react this way? Alright, what are the things they're doing on a daily basis? Ready, set, go. This is so awesome. Now I'm not.
We're both on the same page, which is a good thing.
Very good.
Definitely.
I'm gonna grab some. That's okay.
She's so happy. She never worried about it.
Let's think about one more minute on this.
I would never see this. And I was just like, I remember being like in the, I have the bottom.
Check. That's good. It's like nothing better than yeah.
She also did watch
I tried to do it electronically with like a little like click a box. It just doesn't have the same satisfaction. There's something so tangibly good about checking off. Okay, tell me about what these people are doing. What are these people doing with their lives? We were chatting about they make checklists and then they check them off. Like a grunty good. What else? Yeah.
Playing the ukulele with like a singing hole.
Okay, they're playing a ukulele with a what?
Well, just like different kind of.
Okay, they're playing musical instruments. Let's make it more general. I like that. Right on. What else? Yeah, I love it. They're busy. They're doing stuff. For sure. What else? They're talking. Just shut them up already, for goodness sakes. Yeah, what else? Enjoying the little... How do they do that? Gotcha. They notice. Yeah, well said. I have a 4-year-old that's like that. And I was thinking about little kids are kind of our model for happiness, right? Like, why am I not as happy as these little people? Well, they're noticing all this cool stuff. Like, trying to take you hiking and we're staring at a caterpillar for 20 minutes. So, but then I'm like, wait, this is awesome. Learn from the master. Good stuff. Anything else? Right on. Yeah, we talk about this in my class a lot. We do a whole discussion about body language and paralanguage, and it's this discussion like, what do you think this person's feeling? Versus what do you think this person's feeling? And there's just like this statement we send to the world, let alone the effects upon us of having our head down and staring into a small little space. We all can relate to that. Okay, what do you get out of an exercise like this? That big teacher question again. Why would I ask you to talk about these people on the extremes? Say more. What kind of awareness do you get now? Okay, yeah. I am acting like the person who I identified in that weird class. I should probably do something about it. I should go from supine to vertical. Is that right? Good stuff? What else? What else are you getting out of this? No right or wrong. I'm just curious what you get out of an exercise like this. Yeah. Yeah, it's almost an anomaly. We almost notice it like we notice a problem, right? Like, what's wrong with that person? Like, my firefly's kicking in to notice that. Almost the exact opposite of what we do in our own body with our own perception and our own little movies in our head. Yeah. What else?
It was easier to like know the type of things negative people do as opposed to positive things, the type of people that didn't want to be.
really easy to come up with a list of things that bother me. It's a struggle to come up with the things I really, really, really love. Like I stop around 8. I'm like, what else do I love? But when I think about my annoying roommate and all the things that they do, and it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Empty ice trays. We've done 2 processes in here today that may seem somewhat basic, but all I wanted to do is scratch the surface of what the science of happiness suggests right now. It suggests that our body gets really excited and our brains get really excited over problems. We have to be aware of that instinct. We have to do something to address it. And also, we need to address when we're feeling good, because it's not going to be as obvious. It's not going to be as drastic. And then the next thing I wanted you all to get at with this little exercise here, many of you already said this, is that we're drawn to these weird people that are doing this weird stuff. We generally want to hang out with them. There is an innate social thing going on there, that they exhibit stuff we want to be around. We have much to learn from them. In the same way we have to learn with our positive emotions, we look to others who are experiencing such, because they are learning more. There are many more things I'd love to get into, but I'm officially out of time, so I just want to say thanks so much for having me, and I'll hang out for the rest of what we got going on here. So thanks. You want the mic? It's awkward and weird, but...
This one doesn't work.
Yeah, it does. Weird thing.
Okay.
Take my lemonade.
All right, so here we are at the last day. It's really exciting on one end. What?
We need the mic for the recording.
Oh, that's okay. You don't have to record me. His recording was enough. That's good. So you've heard a lot of presentations all quarter, and you've heard me facilitate, but I don't think you ever really heard about me or people I know and where I've been. So I just want to kind of end with one last presentation, my own presentation, to leave you with some ideas that I think are important. So as I mentioned, I'm a professor that teaches child and adolescent psychology in the School of Education. My research mostly focuses on learning more about communication between Latina mothers and daughters, so that we can improve their communication about sexuality, dating, body image, topics that are very sensitive. I also work in the education field in terms of developing curriculum that integrates science concepts into science activities for Latino preschoolers. So these are preschoolers or second language learners. They're going to state-funded preschools. We know that enriching their experiences early in life can benefit them when they enter kindergarten, and that's the goal of that particular project. And I have other projects, but those are the main 2 that I've done. So you may think that, my research is extra special, and therefore, because my research is extra special, that I must be an extra special person, and that's why I'm standing here today. But I'm really pretty ordinary. An ordinary person who got the education to do a lot of rewarding work. When I was in high school, I wasn't much different from a lot of you. My parents are from Mexico, and the US was where they wanted to raise their families. We were fortunate than most immigrant families in our community in that my father had learned a skill, and we were able to buy a house in the community of Pacoima. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that, which is about an hour and a half south from here. We weren't well off by a long shot, but neither were a lot of our friends. I would say we were all pretty equal, and we went to San Fernando High School, which is still situated in a low-income community. So when I think about high school, some of the best memories are the fun times I had with my friends. And so in high school, you have friends that form groups or clusters with similar interests that hang out together. And at that time, there was a small cluster of students who I call the college go-getters. They knew they were sure they were going to college, and they were receiving help from the administration getting the right direction. But the majority of us in my high school were not in the college go-getters group, myself included. We didn't understand that there was ways that you could find money to go to college, or that you could have your school counselors fill out your applications. And part of it is we didn't even know what kinds of questions we should be asking. There was one student in particular, a girl named Alicia, that stands out in my mind. She knew that she wanted to go to college and she got good grades, but she didn't know how to make those decisions about college. And like a lot of you, she didn't have that understanding from her parents or that instrumental help from their parents. And because she wasn't one of the college go-getters, she wasn't asking for the right questions. So in her senior year of high school, her counselor called her in and said, do you know that you are one of the top 10 students who could be valedictorian at graduation? And she never had any idea. She never talked to any counselor about herself or even thought maybe somebody had noticed. So along the way in high school, Alicia lost hope that college was in her future. Again, she had the grades, but she just didn't have the direction. So it left her with doubts. And losing hope about the future was part of the reason she ended up becoming a teenage mother, because so many girls like her end up in a position where they don't see the future and they don't engage in behaviors that are going to prevent them from getting on that road. And so this sense of hopelessness is a reason why many Latina teenagers actually become pregnant. And Alicia wasn't alone. There were many girls like her when she graduated from high school. But maybe there was something a little different from her in the sense that she started to dream about college when her friends started to enroll, and then she too became determined about going to college. But now she knew it was going to be more difficult. She eventually married, she had a second child, she was working full time. But she had the characteristics that many of you have. You have all been saying you're hard workers, you're persistent, you're motivated by challenges and not discouraged. And she was willing to take on the challenge. And that is what got her through community college, where she could only take 1 or 2 classes at a time, and it took her 10 years to finish. But she didn't stop. And it was those characteristics that got her to UCLA to become a psychology major and eventually to get a PhD. And I know these things about Alicia because that is my middle name, and I am talking about myself. So how can a Mexican-American girl who comes from a low-income community become a professor? Aren't professors supposed to be extra special people? But one thing that made it possible is that I led myself to believe it was possible. And once I believed in myself, I started looking for research opportunities that would give credibility to what that could speak to my talents. And it wasn't just one research opportunity, it wasn't 2, it was 3 research opportunities by the time I graduated from college. And so I had 3 professors that could speak to my potential. And this was really important because I didn't have the stellar grades or the stellar GRE scores. I was pretty average. But what made me stand out was getting involved with faculty. That's what made a difference. You know, there were a lot of difficulties along the way. Maybe a lot of times I tell my graduate students, they look at me and they don't realize how difficult I had it. And I tell them that because sometimes I see they have doubts in themselves. But, I had to miss time with my family in graduate school. I lacked confidence. I felt like I was different because of minority. In that time, it was affirmative action, so I got money where other students different. I couldn't read very fast. It took me a long time to do that. I almost failed statistics courses. And I cried a lot in graduate school. I did, and I wondered about giving up. But what I remembered, what kept me going, was because of students like you. I said, if I don't keep going, who's going to make a difference in the lives of future students like you? And that's what kept me going. So you're all here because you at one point believed it was possible to realize your dream, and that journey continues. And even if you don't want to go to graduate school, you still got to do research. You still got to do those volunteer opportunities, those internships. Again, because you need people to speak to your skills and your talents. And you have to figure out how to make it happen. Okay, we hope we've given you tools. We hope we've given you a head start. But now you can't let lack of confidence get in the way. And if you work with faculty on research and you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it. You switch to another project. The first project you come across may not be the one that you love to do. You may need to get to know the professor better in office hours. And so I mention these things because I don't want you to feel like if something doesn't work out at first, that you're stuck. So if our program allowed you to dream bigger and motivated you to work harder and not get discouraged and continue to persist, then we did our job. We can go happy with that, thinking we did our job. So we hope you stay in touch with us. We call you CSI Scholars because we hope we never really lose touch with all of you. And we will have things, and we will have reunions, and we will try to stay in touch over time, and be a source of support in any way we can. So with that said, take opportunity to have some food, say goodbye to your friends, say goodbye to us, and don't forget to fill out the evaluation. They were going to get the numbers tomorrow. You will get the ID numbers. It is anonymous. It is confidential. We need those evaluations because we're going to be doing this program every year, and we need to hear from you, who are the first ones to go through it, what made a difference and what we need to do better. Okay? All right. Okay. Thank you.